The United Nations Security Council is seeking cooperation from the African Union and also the United Nations in ending conflicts in Africa. During an open debate in the UN on the Secretary General for Political and Peacebuilding Affairs, Rosemary DiCarlo says silencing the guns for good requires the participation of all. The Council also unanimously adopted a resolution drafted by Equatorial Guinea in order to support the implementation of the AU Master Roadmap's practical steps to silence the guns in Africa by year 2020 that was adopted by the AU in 2013.
Silencing the guns for good requires the participation of all. As we assess efforts to increase women's leadership and meaningful participation in political processes, we see that progress has slowed, despite the combined work of the UN, the AU, and civil society. We must redouble our efforts in this critical pursuit.
The recently concluded peace agreements in South Sudan and in Central African Republic, the successful democratic elections in Madagascar and in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, as well as the historic positive developments in the Horn of Africa, are all generating optimism about a continent emerging from the shadows and moving steadily to restore peace, stability, security, and make decisive move towards integration and prosperity.
Many parts of Africa are reaching a dangerous tipping point, and we are currently in a race against time. Transformation to deal with the root causes and the deep structural challenges will take between 20 and 40 years to address. In the meanwhile, protracted conflict ranging from violent street protests to civil war and from radicalized terror insurgencies to criminal insurgencies will characterize large parts of the continent.
Well, let's head over to South Africa to meet Stacey Frew. She's 11 years old and preparing to publish her 5th book. When her peers were learning how to read and write at the age of 7, Frew had already penned her first book, but now she is a published author with 3 titles and has also received various awards for some of her books.
Between being a 7th grader, speaking at events and running a foundation, Stacey Frew is gaining attention as a budding writer in South Africa. She is one of the country's youngest authors, having published 3 titles that include picture books for children. She is currently working on 2 new books, which will be published later this year. Her love for writing was inspired by children's books that she started reading from an early age.
I think I decided to be an author because I was inspired by the kind of books I was reading, and I also wanted to kind of make my own children's book for children because I thought that the books I was reading were also made by kids my age, and I thought that, okay, I want to be like one of them and I want to write my own book, so I did.
Frew wrote her first book, Smelly Cats, a book about 2 feline cousins, in 2015, and finished it before her parents realized what she was doing.
My first book is Smelly Cats, and this is the book I wrote when I was 7, published when I was 8. And for me, it was one of the stories that really just came to my mind, and I knew it was going to be a good story. So I didn't do any extra planning and all of that. I just started straight, went in and started writing the first day.
The young author has gone on to win various accolades for her work in the country. Her mother, who is also a published author, says when her daughter told her she had finished writing the book, she thought it was a joke, but later noticed Stacey's talent.
She's a very self-disciplined child, which makes it easy for us. Stacey works on programs. Her system is programmed. She knows when to do what, how to do what. And when it comes to her writing, we really don't have a say because we don't interfere. Sometimes we don't notice. All I have to do often is ask her, what are you writing now? Where are you on? And if she likes, she talks. If she likes, she doesn't talk. So it makes life very easy for us.
Stacey also became a Young Artist Ambassador for Save the Children in 2017. And is helping the charity promote literacy among children in South Africa.
When I started up the Stacey Frew Foundation, I had no idea what a foundation was. I was just going with the flow.
Stacey says she wants to push more children to express themselves through writing, as she supports various rural communities in the country through her foundation, which donates books, computers, clothing and food, among other items. Her book, Smelly Cats, has been approved by the South African Department of Basic Education as suitable for young learners from early childhood through to primary school.